So hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Dr. Jun.
I'm Dr. Isabel.
Yes, we are founder of isamizu. Today, we have amazing, brilliant, knowledgeable experts, Angela Barrus. So let me tell you about who she is here. So Angela works with the people who's free from the stress, anxiety, anxiousness, overwhelmed to equip them to live a more exceptional life. And Angela is a behavioral therapist, transformation mindset coach, and clinical hypnotherapist. Welcome to isamizu interview series, and thank you so much for joining us today, Angela.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Thank
Likewise.
thank you so much. So, transformational mindset. I love that because a lot of what happens with us, with our body, symptoms, diseases, conditions
Mhm.
start and originate in the mind. So, can you please
Yeah.
elaborate a little more about that? And what is it exactly that you do?
Well, I'll share a story. I had a client who came in to see me for weight loss, and in the intake, I asked her, what she wanted to accomplish. And part of that intake, as you do, is ask what their lifestyle is like. And she said she couldn't exercise, she could hardly walk because of a pain in her left foot, and it had been there for years, and nobody could help her. And after the second session, using a blend of behavioral therapy, life coaching, and the clinical hypnotherapy, where we get to the root cause of the problem by opening the door to the subconscious mind and very gently helping clients remove obstacles that are causing a problem for them. After the third session, she called and left a voicemail message on my phone. And she said, I am in a parking lot and I'm dancing. I stepped out of the van and the pain is completely gone.
Wow.
I didn't expect this. And so with this work, there are some bonuses that we just don't know. It's up to a person's inner wisdom. So we're accessing a person's innate healing power by accessing that the healing wisdom. And a person's healing wisdom knows exactly what needs to happen when we're in that frame of mind between wakefulness and being asleep, that beautiful twilight healing state. So many things are possible when we quiet our mind and allow ourselves to get into that state.
That's amazing. One of the
Mhm.
things that we talk a lot about is 90%
Mhm.
of what happens to us or what we think about is at the subconscious level.
Yes, yes.
It's actually a little bit more than 90%, but let's say 90%, right? So once we bring, because there's traumas, there's preconceived ideas and blockages, they are at the subconscious level. When
Yeah.
we bring them to the conscious level, that's when healing starts happening. Is it true?
That is true, but it's not necessarily the only way, which you're not saying that. I like to come at it from the different direction when
Mhm.
we allow our critical faculty, our conscious mind to take a break, to just chill out. When we do that, and it doesn't take much to induce a person to that level of light relaxation, the doorway to the subconscious opens. We have direct access to the subconscious mind, and when we're accessing a person's innate inner wisdom, we don't have to be consciously aware of what needs to take place. A lot of healing can happen really by just bypassing that and giving instructions to the inner wisdom to take care of whatever it knows it needs to take care of. And sometimes our inner wisdom know like something will be brought to our conscious awareness if necessary. And when it is, that's where epiphanies happen. That's where people make a discovery. Today, I had a client who she's having a hard time with working as a first responder with COVID, and being around people who are downplaying it and don't believe her that she's actually seen dead bodies from COVID. There are people in denial of that, and that doesn't feel very validating to her. So we did have a conversation. I just asked her, some questions, and then I asked her, what are the emotions when you think of this? And then I asked, think back as early as you can remember to when you were young. What experience pops up for you? And something came right into her mind. So, speaking to what you're talking about, for this instance, she really did need to be made aware of some confusion she had around something when she was young. And she talked about that. We did some techniques around that. And when that was, when she was able to come to better terms with that, then there was an emotional release at a deep subconscious level. So yes, that's another way of putting it, that there's different ways of accessing. And yes, I took a long time to answer that simple question, but it's quite a complex question, isn't it, really?
Yes.
We could talk about that question all day and give examples to each other, because we're all in this work, and we play in such an amazing sandbox, and we get to be witnesses of miracles that happen in people's lives. It's just incredible what can happen either way, whether we don't need to know about it, or when we do need to know about it, that conscious awareness and clarity that comes from that. So yeah.
Thank you. No, that was perfect.
Because I remember personally, a long time ago, I worked with Angela. I think to me, my personal experience that I really enjoyed was having the safe space. You create this space, allow me to go into that, subconscious with a pain point, something, there's sometimes we blocks that. But then when you have that safety environment, you can let those trapped emotion that you want to deal with it, to able to let it go and able to release, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's true. And we pick up on negative, baggage, we'll call it. We're all carrying baggage of some kind that we don't even realize we're carrying, and it's causing dysfunction and imbalance and symptoms. It's this layering effect. And we even pick up that baggage when we're in the womb. Some of it's passed down through DNA. If we're in the womb, where our mother has an intense negative reaction or response to something, we're at the wrong place at the wrong time, right? We're stuck there. And that can be absorbed into our being and carry forward and then play out over years. And so when we are open and receptive to such simple and beautiful work, the inner wisdom knows, hey, this needs to be taken care of, so that you can overcome that anxiety and get yourself to the dentist. Right? Who knows? If we could open the file cabinets of our subconscious mind to see what has caused the dysfunction, what's caused those obstacles that are causing a sense of stuckness, or just, I'm not quite achieving my potential in this area or that, I think we'd be quite shocked. I think people expect that it's trauma. They'll often tell me, well, I had such a great childhood. I've never been abused or this, and I just shouldn't have these problems. Well, they could have been at the wrong place at the wrong time, or when they were young without having the ability to communicate and ask clarifying questions. They have unprocessed, junk, emotional junk they don't even know they have. And so just releasing that sets them free. So yeah, it's beautiful work.
It is amazing. Do you know, maybe you can give us some tips, the listeners some tips of what they can do to start releasing that junk, to start trying to get rid of that baggage that we have. Because we don't have control of what happened to our ancestors, but we carry it combined with our own experiences. Is there a technique that you can teach maybe the listeners, something that
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah.
So you tell me what number you say in your work. We have over 50,000 thoughts on any given day. Do you have a number that you throw out there?
Yeah, usually it's 70,000.
70,000. What do you say, Dr. Shimizu?
Or between that. Let's
Yeah.
just,
And I tell my clients, I don't know who took the time to count them. I don't know how they did it. But so it's between 50, 70,000 thoughts on any given day. And these thoughts are, many of them are helpful. Many of them help us be successful with our career, our relationships, the service that we do. And some of them are downright not helpful. And we need to raise our awareness of focusing on what is rather than on what isn't. And if we're not careful, we're focusing on what isn't, saying, why isn't what I want working out? So we set an intention, we use positive affirmations, we pray, and then, amen, yeah, it's not going to work. Well, that's total sabotage. Some of our thoughts are coming from a place where, maybe we were a baby and our a parent left us in the crib longer than we were comfortable. And it felt like we were there for days. And mom or dad come in and they pick us up and we're screaming our head off and they change us and they feed us. And that's all they know to do. They don't know that we need reassurance that we were safe, that they were never leave us. They were there the whole time. But for whatever reason, certain things become amplified in the deep subconscious mind, and they're sending messages into the conscious mind. And because a thought enters our mind, we just tend to believe it, right? If we're not watching, if we're not being astute. So one thing I can give you that I love this. I'm just asking a question. When was the last time you used your imagination? And I'll ask 20 people at the same time in a speech or workshop, 100 people, and they'll go, oh, let me think. And then I'll ask for examples. Oh, I did some painting about a month ago. It was so fun. Awesome. When was the last time anyone else used your imagination? And I'll get all kinds of responses. And then I ask this question. And they're telling me last week, yesterday. When was the last time you worried about something? And they go, well, have you worried about anything today? And they just start laughing. They're like, they're looking at each other like, well, yeah, of course. I'm worried about a bunch of stuff. That is using your imagination to create exactly what you don't want. And your imagination is one of the most powerful gifts that you have. Mm-hmm. So if we use our most powerful gift, our imagination, to create what it is we do want, then we're setting ourselves up for success. And there's one time of day in particular that it's most important. So now here's the question. What are you thinking about when you fall asleep? What are you focusing on? That thing that either the person you married, your partner, your child, that thing that they keep doing that bugs you, or that thing that went wrong in that meeting? Why did that person behave like that? That person who cut you off in traffic and you just can't believe all those silly people, blah, 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 blah. Whatever we're focusing on as we fall asleep at night is what we will get more of, and the emotions that go with that. So here's what we can do. I don't have a stone here, but I have stones. I love rocks. Rocks are wonderful for teaching behavioral modification. I just find all kinds of uses for them. But let's say as you are falling asleep and you remember, oh, I'm an amazing mindset champion. I am a wonderful coach for myself. So, what I focus on as I fall asleep, what I'm thinking about is the things of beauty, the things that have gone well, gratitude as our minds are starting to slow down, and now we're coming into that beautiful twilight state, which is that state we put people in when we do hypnotherapy and guided imagery. You are now able to drop something in, like a pebble, dropping it into a still pond. You give an instruction and you could address inner wisdom. Please help me to release what needs to be released so I can outgrow the headaches. Or inner wisdom, please help me let go of this anger. Please help me to create a life of peace. Now, are those perfectly worded? No. But we're not looking for perfection. And honestly, it's what's going on for you. So, what would you create if you could give an instruction for your amazing, beautiful, literal subconscious mind that does exactly what you tell it to do? What would that be for you? And the most general, most all encompassing instruction is inner wisdom, please help me to let go of all that I need to let go of. That could be anger, resentment. It could be the beginning of a kidney stone, right? It could be anything because our inner wisdom is so intelligent and it wants to serve us. So when we release that and set it free into the subconscious mind, it creates a ripple effect and it works on our behalf all night long. It's such an improvement over focusing on what went wrong, what we don't, what we're confused about, what we don't want happening. So that is my technique that I'll give to you. And I call that dropping the thought.
Wow, that's powerful. Then do we put it like, do we have a physical stone and then just kind of put the intention there, or what do we do with the stone?
I'm so happy you said that. I use the stone as a metaphor. And some of my clients, I invite them to put something on their pillow that reminds them that they're going to drop a thought in that night. And also, more than that, reminds them this is the most therapeutic time I have out of the whole entire day. I'm in the healing state, so I'm going to use that to my advantage, not to my disadvantage. So it reminds them of multiple things that it's time now to clear my mind and to protect my subconscious mind. So they'll put it there as a reminder. And many of them, because of how I share the technique, they will find a stone. One of my clients, he taught his wife this technique. So she got a big rock and she put it on her pillow. And he said, "It's so funny." He says, "I'll be brushing my teeth and she's getting into bed, and for 3 nights in a row now, I hear her go, 'Oh.'" She hits her head on her stone. It's just a reminder. So it could be anything. It's when we go for behavioral modification, we use something that we're not used to seeing. So if you have a stuffed animal that's in a corner or in your child's room, maybe pull that stuffed animal out and put it on your pillow. It could be a paper with a reminder, but so some reminder on the pillow. And then when you're getting in, you're remembering, okay, I'm using my imagination to create what I do want. And when I feel like I'm about to drift off, and it doesn't have to be timed with exactness, but when I'm about to drift off, the idea of I'm falling asleep now, now we drop it in inner wisdom. But there's no physical stone required, and yet it's a kind of a cool reminder as long as you remember to remove it from your pillow.
Yes, that's true. It reminded me of there is a technique also, but that's during the day. Like if you catch yourself having a negative thought,
Yes,
some people put like a rubber band or something on the wrist and it's kind of like a physical abuse, basically, like a
yes,
reprimanding yourself and you snap when you have that
yes.
realize you have a negative thought and then you snap yourself.
Yeah, I plead with my clients not to do that.
Good.
Yeah, that kind of snap, if you can, and I put this on, you reminded me, it was right here on my desk. I just put on my water curl bracelet because this reminds me to check in with my thoughts. And are my thoughts helping me right now? Are they hindering me? Are they creating what I do want? Are they creating what I don't want? And so this helps me know what to do. You know, it reminds me to check in with my thoughts and how I'm using that amazing, you know, mind of mine um, to create what I reminder to create what I do want. But we do see people will hand those rubber bands out, and I do hand out rubber bands at live events as a reminder. So remember, you know, the technique we've taught today. We've talked about today. I actually saw a man at a rehab, 2-year rehab program, and I did a workshop for them probably 8 months ago, and he still had the rubber band on his wrist to remind him of the technique that I had taught. And he was so proud of it. He said, "Hey, I still have this on here. You know, I'm still wearing it." And I said, "You're not snapping yourself with that, are you?" And he goes, "No, no, you told us that's self-abuse." But here's another aspect to that. When we use like a sharp clap, I can do that in therapy sometimes to deepen something. That it deepens a positive framework into the subconscious mind. So if somebody hires me, let's say I've worked with, you know, a cage fighter. He hired me because he said he keeps fatiguing at the end, and you know he knows that he's capable of winning the, you know, the league. I don't know anything about cage fighting, but I do know how to help him at the deep subconscious level. Um, he what was I saying about that? I just lost my train of thought. Um,
Yeah,
oh, that
going to train him, and
Oh,
then
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you. So what we do in the healing state, we will remove the obstacles, and it's like I help my client gently. It's like helping them visit the garden of their subconscious mind. Their garden is a special sacred place, and so we very gently do some work. It's very gentle and powerful. We remove those obstacles, and then the client gets to a point where I will go through all the steps of, you know, the decathlon, or all the steps of getting ready to go and take the bar exam, or all the steps of the cage fight from the beginning when you start packing your bag at home all the way down to the takedown, or you know. And we get them to that point, and then we run it like a movie, and then see, are there any more obstacles that need to be removed? And then when they're ready, when there are no more obstacles for that to be the successful scenario, now I I let them know, I warn them, but they run it through. They let me know when they're finished with the movie, and then I slap with, you know, my hands are together like that, and then again slap, and again slap, and again slap. We're deepening that into the subconscious mind, right? So now, if we have a bunch of people who are out there in the world from being taught by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, every time you have a negative thought, snap it, snap your wrist. Oh my, no. No.
we will.
Reach for light, we reach for love to interrupt the negative thoughts, but we don't deepen that into the subconscious mind by shocking. We're using the shock value of that. It's an opposite use of something that can be a wonderful healing tool when used properly.
Oh, I love that, and it makes total sense. You don't want to, because at the end of the day, you're going to end up with a really bleeding, a bleeding wrist.
Yeah, and then you know what that leads to? Self-loathing. And self-loathing leads to people going to things to comfort themselves that are not in their best interest. And then they wonder, why do I keep going to this? Right. So that self-loathing, any sort of punishment that we go to, we want to help dehypnotize people from any sort of, you know, addiction to negative thinking. And so there's way better ways that we can do that. But I love the idea of the reminder band. I do love that.
Great.
So all the clients that you worked with in the many years,
Mhm.
could you tell us that maybe a couple the profoundly besides what you mentioned about that, the cases that people that you work with, often you see that this type of a case, the people have this type of emotional issues, sort of trauma. Could you tell us
Mhm.
about some of the examples?
Sure. I had a doctor come to me. His goal was, he said, I want to make more money. And I said, okay, so what do you have in mind? And he said, I want to go from 30,000 to 40,000 a month. And I said, oh, okay. Do you feel that you are equipped for that? And he said, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I've got it all together. I've got all my businesses in a row, and it's just about my mindset now. And so we worked on that, and that was the focus. Now he does energy work. He does chiropractic. He does a number of different modalities. And he let me know, he said, Angela, I have got to tell you something. He says, my intuition has magnified by 1,000-fold. He says, before, when I was using the different techniques to figure out what needs to be released for clients, people will use kinesiology, they'll use muscle testing. He says, I don't need to do that anymore. It just comes right in. I just know. I only use those techniques when my client isn't ready, that when my client needs to see that I'm checking their leg length or this or that. But I don't need to do it anymore. It's completely become congruent, and my intuition is now assisting me to that point where I don't need what I now see as crutches. So, or training wheels, right? So that was really exciting to me, because when you help a practitioner, a health practitioner, the magnitude of that, where I'm going with this. I love when I help healing practitioners, because it's not just them, it's their family, and then it's all those people in their circle of influence. And I imagine when I'm working with people who are also turning around and helping others with their healing and empowerment, I imagine not only them, but I imagine all those people, whoever they are, who are just surrounding them, and who are maybe not quite in their life yet, but are being attracted to them. And so it's just brings me great joy. Um, Let me think. Oh, there's so many stories, so many stories. Um, Sleep disturbance is very common, and some people have very violent sleep disturbance. I had a couple come in, and it was really the spouse who was telling me, this has got to change. I can't deal with this problem that my spouse is having anymore. I'm waking up to, the screaming, like blood curdling screaming, and just some abuse. And he's like, I'm at my wit's end. And a doctor told us that you could help my spouse. Is that true? And I said, yeah, if you're open and receptive to this work, if you will keep your appointments, if you'll finish your program, and if you'll do the simple behavioral instructions I give you. They are simple to do, they're also simple not to do. But if you can agree to those things, and then the last one is, and if you watch for progress and celebrate progress. I believe that just the act of celebrating progress, even minuscule amounts of progress, is in and of itself a healing modality. Let's even call it that. It's That's more powerful than a lot of pills you can be buying or get prescribed if you watch for little signs of progress. So she became a client, and I that was a couple of years ago, and they had tried everything, and I have to say that I think that her spouse loves me even more than my client. loves me. And it's not about me. I am an instrument. I am a very, very lucky woman to be able to witness, to be able to facilitate and be an instrument. And all the glory goes to my higher power, my client, and their higher power. If I did it any other way, it wouldn't. That's the formula that works for me. And so I'm so proud of them. And yeah, thank you for letting me share stories. I could share so many stories with you.
So amazing. With a patient like that, for example, or something that is not as severe, what's the average time that somebody will need to have therapy for to be able to see improvement?
This is an accelerated healing process, and there's a study that shows that 600 hours of psychotherapy is equal to about 7 hours of this type of therapy. And so the healing is accelerated by far. And I find that 10 sessions is a really good number. A person can achieve their goals in less time, but it's not enough time for me to equip them to be their own amazing mindset champion so that they can um, recognize their patterns. Yeah, they become kind of like scientists collecting data and learning more about their tendencies, learning about their habits, having epiphanies. And I've learned that 10 sessions that they can experience enough that they're really stabilized and they're at 99 to 100% with their purposes. Or if it's like, weight loss, it takes a little longer. In fact, Dr. Shimizu, and he referred one of his amazing clients. She's one of my most favorite human beings on the face of the planet.
I agree.
She came in for weight loss. Weight loss is about 12 sessions. Addiction is 12, maybe sometimes more. But my clients know, they determine, they let me know. I think I do need a few more than we predicted. And I follow their lead. But at 12 sessions, she says, "Oh, this has been so wonderful. I love this. I'm thinking different. I'm sleeping different. My family members are no longer annoying me. I don't understand that because they didn't come for therapy. I did. I don't understand how they've changed so much." I hear that a lot. So, but she hadn't lost an ounce, but she wasn't concerned. I saw her. I went into Dr. Shimizu for, to reset myself. And she came walking out of his office. She was the next his patient at that moment. She comes out and she does a little twirl, and she says, "I've lost 50 pounds since I last saw you."
Oh,
But
wow.
she had this sense of knowing. She knew that she'd been set up for success. So I tell my clients, I have a baton in my hand. And with every session, every time you do your attunement, which is a recording I offer them, every time you do your thought pattern interrupter, every time you drop the thought, for instance, every time you do those techniques, it's all helping you now accept that baton. And then you'll know when you're ready, when we're finished with therapy. So she knew she was fine. She had that confidence that, it's going to release. It has to. And it did. So it was just such a fun experience to see her there. We do housekeeping, we do deep cleanings, we clean our toilets, we clean our blinds. If we're lucky, we hire someone to clean our windows. But we don't housekeep, we don't do housekeeping with the deep subconscious mind. And it's a memory vault. It stores everything we've ever experienced, everything we've tasted, touched, smelled, everything we've witnessed, whether we're aware we did or not. Everything that we witnessed in those formative years and experienced in the formative years without the ability to ask clarifying questions. And those obstacles just, they're in the subconscious mind, and they're magnifying and amplifying and sending messages into the conscious mind. They're simply not true. So everybody has obstacles. And if we have an area of our life where there's any sort of imbalance or dysfunction, or we have a goal, but we just don't quite seem to be achieving it, it's this is a perfect option for them, as are your modalities. All the what we do, it helps people come into balance and release what needs to be released. Yeah.
Beautiful, well said. So, how can people contact you or connect with you? Do you have a website and then social media? Could you share with us?
My website, it's brand new. I'm so happy. I feel like I just gave birth to my 5th child. If for no other reason, please just go look at it.
Mhm.
So beautiful. It's my full name, Angela Barrus at gmail.com. Or sorry, Angela Barrus at .com. angelabarrus.com. And then my email is angelabarrus at gmail.com. And
That's great. Last 3 tips that you can give people?
yes, I am a big fan of storytelling. Stories are one of the most powerful behavioral modification techniques that we have. And some of the stories we're telling ourselves are simply not true. I invite you to watch. What are the stories that you're telling yourself? I started telling myself a story today, and then I had to ask myself, is that true? It feels true. Is it serving me? No, it is not serving me. It's causing some stress for me. So if I decide that that story is not true, I'm getting myself out of a box with a situation that I'm kind of putting myself in. And I'm not meant to put myself in a box. I'm not meant to put anybody into a box. And so it means my heart isn't at peace. So we need to watch the stories we're telling ourselves and be astutely aware. And it's not hard work, it's fun. It's like snuffing out, like contraband or something, right? So I could tell I'm starting to create the story, and I that isn't helping me. And so really, really coaching yourself to ask the question, hold it. What is the story I'm telling myself here? Is that true? And now be a wonderful gatekeeper for yourself. Another tip is curiosity is one of the best inoculators. I mean, talk about inoculation. Let's put it out on the news for people to choose curiosity. And now we're inoculating people in a way that can help raise, increase their immune system, right? Heal their immune system, balance out the brain. If we would just choose curiosity, how interesting. That's curious. Instead of diving in to that which is not going to serve us, that is an inoculator for your whole being, and it protects your subconscious mind. So you're the only person who can be the gatekeeper of your subconscious mind. Have you ever tried to get through a gatekeeper with a company, like the front secretary, or you would like, no, I want to talk to the person above you. Just please put that person on. Gatekeepers, some of them are so good. We need to become a really good gatekeeper, a protector of our subconscious mind, and curiosity is the key to that. Boy, one more. Maybe I embedded 3 in there. I don't know. Was that 3? That was 3.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. This has been so amazing. A lot of good information for people to start working with their subconscious mind and controlling their thoughts.
Yes.
Just a simple step is so powerful, right? So, thank you so much.
Yes, it's by
Yeah.
small and simple things that great things come to pass. Doesn't have to be big, hard things, small and simple.
That is true. Well, thank you so much.